To the Honorable Rick Brewer, Chairman, and members of the Hawkins County Board of Commission in the special call session that was 8th day of March 2021. Resolution in reference authorizing the issuance of general obligation refunding bonds of Hawkins County, Tennessee, in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $14,975,000 in one or more series, making provision for the issuance, sale, and payment of said bonds, establishing the terms thereof and the disposition of proceeds therefrom, and providing for the levy of taxes for the payment of principal of premium, if any, and interest on bonds. Mr. Chairman, so moved.
Motion by Commissioner Winder, second. Second by Commissioner Byrd. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Morrell.
I got a couple of questions here. How much has been applied toward the principal of this bond?
Everyone, my name is Scott Gibson. For y'all who do not know, I'm with Common Securities. I'll be happy to answer that question. And the answer to that question is $1,140,000. Let's back up. The
What'd you say, it's the 1 million?
1.14 million. So let's back up and start with the history of this issue. This issue was done in early 2000s, 2002 if I remember correctly, and a few years after that we did an interest rate swap on that to convert it to a traditional fixed rate. So this loan has been around for about 20 years. You have not made hardly any principal payments on it. Last year was the first time you'd made one. The reason for that is also at that a couple years before 2002, you had done a late 90s, early 2000s, you started a major school building program and renovation program, and you borrowed about $30 million to do that. And so the first $14 million, the way we structured, the way the debt had ultimately got structured, instead of doing the $30 million and out of two issues and paying some on both, we end up doing one issue and paying all the principal and then start paying the principal on the second issue after the first one was paid. The amortization's the same, it's just a matter of how you divide it up. Do you pay a little bit on both, or do you pay a bunch on one and none on the other until the first one's paid off and then the second, you kick into the second one. So this $16 million was the second issue. So you paid off the first $14 million of that school building program. And since that time, there's been more school renovation and building programs, and you have been paying principal and interest on that debt. The state in 2014 came out with what they call the balloon debt statute, and they have now prohibited doing a big payment on one and no payment on the other. They want you to make payments on both, even though maybe half the amount, same principal being paid each year, but you're supposed to apply it to both issues. So since 2014, any new money debt that y'all do has to be done on a level fashion. So that's a long-winded answer to your question, but that's how we got here. And so the resolution in front of you tonight goes to address some issues. Since 2008, most of y'all probably remember 2008, that was not a very good year. 8 and 9 was the Great Recession, financial crisis. And so lots of things changed after that, and a lot of things are still changing because of that. One of the things that has been around for over 50 years is LIBOR, which is London Interbank Offer Rate. It is used to set rates around the world. There's about 200 trillion, that's with a T, not a B, $1 trillion worth of contracts, loans, stuff tied to LIBOR that are still in existence today. As part of the fallout from the 2008 financial crisis, they caught some banks and other entities that set that rate, giving false information to try to benefit their side of setting the rates. And so the regulators, the Federal Reserve and the regulators in Europe and England have decided to eliminate LIBOR. And unfortunately, the loan and swap that we had done in 2000 had LIBOR tied to LIBOR. So even if we extend this loan, if we don't refinance it, we're going to have to address that LIBOR issue. We're going to have to find a U.S. bank has approached the county and said they do not want to renew the loan, which they have been doing for over a decade now, but now have decided to move on. And so that is the reason we are here tonight. I actually put together a summary of all these points, this one-page handout, kind of addressing the situation of how we got here, and then some recommendations on the backside that y'all can look at while I'm talking and answering your questions. But this really goes to the heart of why we're here. This proposed refinancing financially is a wash. There's really no savings. There's no, I think when it's all said and done, the financial benefit or cost of the county is approximately zero. So we kind of get back to, and the question is why you're doing this. We're not saving money while we're doing this, and the answer is, well, we're going to eliminate the interest rate swap. We're going to eliminate the loan with U.S. Bank. We're going to convert those to traditional fixed rates. We're going to restructure that loan so that we can come back at the March 22nd meeting and propose a refinancing of the 2015 bonds and shorten those up, convert those from balloon debt to level debt, save about $2 million. So as this summary points out, while the financial benefits of this piece is close to zero, what it does allow us to do is transfer some of those savings to the other piece, not only from low interest rates, but because we're paying it off faster, that enhances the savings. So if you look at the two issues combined, the way we're structuring this, we're reducing the risk to the county, and we're probably going to save right at $2 million just in the education debt service fund. And this preliminary refinancing analysis outlines those proposed savings on the second piece, which will come before the Budget Committee next Monday. That is the plan. The county has resolutions that will go out in your packets for the meeting on the 22nd, and then we can consider that. But that is kind of step two in the process. Step one is to address this loan that we have tonight, and y'all make a decision. Do we do this refinancing, convert it to traditional fixed rate, eliminate LIBOR, set the county up to refinance the other piece of debt at your next regularly scheduled meeting here this month, and give us an opportunity to save you some money. And it's, not only will we discuss that second piece at the next county commission meeting, the general debt service fund, which I have a handout here if y'all want to get into it, there's an opportunity to save about almost $1.5 million in that fund. So come end of this month, or here in 2 weeks from today, you'll be voting on other resolutions. I'm getting ahead of myself, but those resolutions are going to allow the county to save about $3.5 million. In 2019, we did a refinancing. We saved that ended up saving right at $4.8 million. So that's two significant numbers just in the last 2 years that we've been able to squeeze out of the rates at the county. And unfortunately, like I said, this one probably is zero, but it does solve several other issues. So that's kind of an overview of why I'm here tonight and to answer your questions if y'all want to move forward. If you don't want to move forward to refinancing, we have had discussion. But if we do get the extension, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, a year, it doesn't really solve any of the issues that are outlined in this summary. And so, while it does give you more time to think about it, it doesn't solve the issues, and we're going to have to come back at some point and address all these issues again. It could be, like I said, a few months from now, it could be a year from now, and I think my response back to you the next time we meet, the answers are going to be the same as what we're discussing tonight. I mean, my recommendation, based on the size of Hawkins County, the loan, where we are, your revenue coming into the fund, all those factors put in, my best recommendation for you is probably do the same thing that we're talking about tonight. So if you don't want to move forward tonight, that's okay, but we're going to have the same discussion again if you don't. And And my response back to you and answer is going to be, what do y'all, what's my recommendation? The same thing I'm recommending tonight. I think we would do. So that's I've talked a lot. That's a long answer, and I got off to Mr. Harrell's question, but that's kind of where we are.
Is any other discussion?
Is that going to retire his debt after we do this, or is this?
You will keep making principal payments on the debt, so we'll keep paying it down. It's going to take a few extra years to do it. We will set you up so that you can write a check if you want to and pay it off early, just like you have the opportunity tonight. I mean, obviously, if you had $15 million, you can just write this check and pay this off tonight or here April 1st, but you don't have $15 million. Overall, I don't think we are extending this piece of debt slightly. We're going to shorten another piece up, and to the extent we get to 2026 and 2019 bonds, which are balloon debt, you will have an opportunity, I think, to refinance those and either level them up or start making prepayments on those. So I think if you look at the overall disciplinary refinancing analysis, you just look at this back page, this graph. Here's your revenue. When we're all said and done, we haven't really changed. Your revenue, your expenditures are kind of the same. They are kind of elevated out here. That is because this green here is the 2019 bond. I'm kind of off subject, but looking at the big picture. When 26 gets here, you can start making extra payments on this. Our plan is to start paying that down or re-amortize it through a savings opportunity because rates are lower and paying that principal off sooner. So my answer to your question, which is also another long-winded answer, is that while we are extending this piece of debt, which we have the opportunity, we are going to shorten the next piece of debt up to fill that in that you're going to talk about in March, here in 2 weeks, and we are setting you up to prepay this piece of debt early, and this piece of debt is balloon debt. If you can eliminate this piece of debt or get it, we're paying it without these big humps out here, that would be the last piece of debt that you have is balloon debt. So I think we're setting the county up long term to not only address this issue here with the LIBOR and the bank loan and all that, but we're setting up here in 2 weeks to fix a piece of debt, balloon debt, make it level, squeeze a bunch of savings out of debt, and to give you the opportunity to address some other issues in this fund, not necessarily in March, but a couple of years down the road. So there was a lot of time effort and thought into not just how can we solve the bank loan issue, how can we solve the bank loan issue, get this other refunding, eliminate debt, set you up for this fund is healthy, which it is healthy, stays healthy, and how do we, looking into the future, get a few years down the road, start addressing the balloon debt issue with the 2019 bonds also, and try to eliminate that over time. Whether it happens in 26, I don't know, but between 26 and 30, sometime in that time frame, I think we can make a lot of progress and either refinance it and save some money or start paying it down with money that may potentially build up in this fund. So, like I said, there's going to be future commissions involved, but I think we can get there, and I think there's a lot of thought put into where this is and where we're going. Any other questions?
Is there any other discussion? If not, everybody cast your vote.
Commissioner Hawkins. Oh, sorry. Commissioner Thacker. Commissioner Housewright.
Yes.
Commissioner Trent. Commissioner Edens.
Wait a minute before you. do those votes, Nancy, before you count the votes. Before you announce the vote, Kelly, I overlooked Mr. Talley, and I'm sorry, Mr. Talley.
It's
Did
easy
you have a question?
It's easy to overlook me.
Well, I didn't even see it on the board, I'm sorry.
I really got a question, Mayor. How much we paying a year on these two loans?
But the answer to your question is, last year you made a 1.14 million payment on the loan.
On both of them, or is that one?
Oh, the one that we're gonna come back and talk about next week?
Yeah.
How many do we have?
The one we're gonna talk about next week is a traditional fixed rate bond that was done in 2015. And so when you sell municipal debt, there's usually a time period before you can refinance it again. And so we put a very short call on that, so you're gonna have an opportunity just to refinance it again, because rates are lower than they were in 2015. So it's not really a loan, it's just your traditional bond, just like a home mortgage. Rates have come down, and so we can refinance it and save money. It has nothing to do with a bank or anything else, it's just a traditional
I
refinance.
guess we need to probably wait till after the meeting, because that's on a different subject,
Yeah,
different
so-
bond. I mean, it's the same, it's about a bond, it's not about the one we're voting on.
Well, we are too. I mean, it is. My question was, how much have we paid on the one we voted?
The one we're voting on, okay.
Yeah, the one.
I think you misunderstood me.
Yeah, and you paid 70,000 on the other, so it's gonna be right, 1.2 million combined.
Okay.
Commissioner Trent, your vote? Yes. Commissioner Edens?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you can announce the vote.
20 yes, 1 no.
Thank you. So,
Resolution carries.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
before we adjourn, I'd just like to give everyone a timeline of what's gonna happen, just so everyone's on the same page. Since you approved the resolution tonight, we will be actually posting a document to sell the bonds starting tomorrow. We will be contacting Moody's Investor Service and getting them to finalize a rating, which they will finalize this week, hopefully by the end of the week. We'll be selling bonds next Tuesday morning to lock in the rates. We will close this bond issue on March 31st because the loan is due on April 1, so we'll send the money a day early to the bank to pay it off on the old loan. And then I will be back to the the budget committee, I guess, on next Monday morning, 9 a.m., to discuss the refinancing of the traditional fixed rate bonds. They're not loans. These are just traditional refundings to save money. Almost $2 million in the education debt service fund, $1.5 million in the general debt service fund. If you approve those at the March 22nd meeting, we will continue to move forward and do those same issues through, and then finally, I have already drafted the resolutions for that March 22nd meeting. That will be in your packets, and the county mayor will be sending a letter to the state tomorrow morning. They have to approve those refinancings, and they will be doing that before your next county commission meeting, and we'll have a report back, just like I handed out tonight with the red on the pages, whatever, from the state. So, and the state get the information on this, since y'all have voted, and they did send the report back, as you saw, and kind of reported that they were okay with everything that you're doing. So that is a summary of where we are and where we're headed, and I'll see y'all next week. I
Motion
appreciate your
to
vote.
adjourn by Commissioner Rhodes, second by Commissioner DeWitt. Everyone vote on the board.